Okay, well, I'm sure that most of you parents have wondered how you could support your child in different situations. I'm sure you've thought about questions to yourself, how can I support my child? Where can I look for information regarding helping my child? Where do I start? Where do I start the process of helping my child? And I say, start now, don't wait a minute. It takes a village to raise a child. We all know that. So I encourage each of you to start developing relationships with your child at any age and expose your child out into the community to adult role models with disabilities. Give them every opportunity to witness and experience that. So I wanted to share some of my ideas with you, and then, if, like Brahman said, if you could hold your questions to the end, that would be great. Okay, so first I wanted to give you a little bit more about my background. I'm deaf and blind. I'm deaf-blind. My parents had no idea, and there's been nothing in our family hereditary, no hereditary. So when I was 1 year old, they found out I was deaf, and they didn't know what to do with children who were deaf, so they learned sign from a friend who came to our house and taught our family sign language, and learned how to speak the sign language. So then when I was 3 years old, my parents took me to a visual institute and noticed that my vision wasn't working right. I was tripping, I was walking into things. So the doctor, I was well, I was normal, and I did normal things. I grasped and everything like normal children and babies do. But the doctor said, let's go ahead and give him hearing aids and glasses and help. And so I received different therapies and I went to different deaf schools, and we went to meetings, and they took IUP meetings, and we learned how to address different things. And so then when I was 5 years old, I went to Wisconsin School for the Deaf. I was in kindergarten all the way to 6th grade. And when I went into the school, they said, you're deaf and you're blind, so they weren't sure if I should go into a deaf class, or they wanted to put me into a SPED setting. And my parents said, but I think age level-wise, he doesn't need that. And I just needed large print and just different supports with interpreters and such. So I didn't want to do that, so I argued with my parents, and they said, you need that. You need these special classes. And so it took a lot of energy and a lot of support, never to give up. So I had to learn to never give up myself. So when I was at the deaf school, we used interpreters that would come, we learned sign language, and I was mainstreamed then in those classes. And then in 7th grade, I went over to the blind school, and then I learned Braille and independent living skills such as cooking and mobility. I learned a lot of different schools in the blind school, so I had a good balance then with deaf and blind life. At the deaf school, I learned sign language and socialization skills with deaf peers, and then in the blind school, I learned daily living skills with mobility and such, so it was a good balance. Thank you. So I graduated from high school, and I was top in my class. And one friend suggested going to college. And I thought, of course, anybody could go to college. That's a good opportunity. There's good services and support. So, and my mom wanted to help me get into a technical college. So she said, why don't you go in high school, take 1 or 2 classes, and then transfer over to, after you graduate, into a university level. So I got a jump start, actually. So there was a lot of benefits to that. Most of the time, people who have English as a second language really struggle with ACT testing and So I decided to go ahead and take the college courses in high school. And so I was getting A's, B's, and C's in the class, and I thought, well, I could do that. So I did. I took the program. I took that opportunity, and that's a suggestion for your children, because a lot of deaf people struggle with English because of the testing and such, because the language is different. They're smart themselves, but the language is different. English is a second language. They're not, deaf people are not dumb. It's just, it's a different language. English is a different language than we're used to. So I graduated from college after 4 years of straight school, and I had a good counselor, and I took everything I could. I took every experience I could. Networking, I took computer, I got tons of encouragement from my parents, and that helped me so much as a child. And then I want to tell you, if you see an opportunity for your kiddos, just think about that word opportunity. Look for everything. Grab it while you can. You never know if you're going to ever have that opportunity again. So if those opportunities arise, grab it. Grab it for your child. Don't wait. Don't wait for something to come to you. In 2007, in the middle of my college experience, I didn't know about internship. Somebody emailed me and said, who's interested in internship in Washington, D.C.? And I thought, wow, I would have never known about that. I was young, so I didn't know. I applied and I interviewed, and I thought that, well, the first time I got turned down, but I thought that was good practice. So then they did it again, and they said and I went through it again, and I was shocked, but they accepted me for the program. And my parents were there for me to encourage me, and they said, good job. So now I was going to be out in this large Washington, D.C. community. So I went for 3 days, and they helped me with my mobility at first. And so I knew where the food shopping was and everything was near the White House. And at that time, I was with the TSA, the Transportation Security Administration, and I was doing the criminal background processing, screening processing. That was my internship. And I was a project manager there. So that was a great experience. That was all during my internship. And that was the summertime before I left. My parents said, they told me they wanted to hire me actually full time. And I said, I have 2 years of school left. I can't work for you. So this was an exciting opportunity and experience for me that we took advantage of. And I've met so many people along the way. I go to workshops, on the weekends and nights. I meet people at workshops. Just take advantage of every opportunity. And this one interesting part, I wanted to tell you, I didn't expect the TSA to accept my disability. I went in, this is a normal company, and somebody said, welcome to the government, and I was like, what? I don't know anything about government. I thought government tended to be just politics and politicians, but it's not true. So on Capitol Hill, with legislation, that was my perspective. That's the only perspective I had. There's a lot of different government entities. They're just like any other normal business. So most people tend to commit to their jobs and compared to private companies or whatever. They might work in a private company based on the money or different things, but government people are different. It's a different atmosphere. So. Okay. And I just graduated from college, and I interviewed with TSA again. I was excited, and I was going to get the jobs because of 2 years ago, because of my experience. But somebody else offered me an interview, and I thought, ooh, I didn't know if I would go for it because I would be turned down. And my parents said, think positive. They gave me that encouragement. They said, it's good practice. What if the other TSA one turned you down? I said, but they want me at the TSA. I'm comfortable there. So I went ahead and I interviewed with the TSA, but then I also flew back to Washington, D.C., and I interviewed for the Department of Defense. And right after my second interview, somebody approached me and said, can I take a few minutes of your time? Let me sit down with you and just need to tell you congratulations. I've offered you a culture job. And so I got my job. I got a job with the TSA. So I thought, what am I going to do now with the TSA? So I guess I had both those opportunities, though. 6 months later, the TSA did tell me that they didn't offer me the job, so I said, that's okay, I have something better. So, anyway, I just want to say, don't limit your child's opportunity. Don't limit your opportunity. You might think this is the only opportunity I have, but anything better can come along. Anything, you never know. So it's so important to take your opportunity. You'll never see that opportunity again if you let it pass. So let me go back. Can I go back? Yeah, there we go. So I want to tell you some stories about moving. That was the most scary part of my life, both on children and the parents. And you all need to be aware of this. Parents, if you're going to be far away and you're thinking your child is going to be left alone, how are they going to take care of themselves? But with children, new people, new life experiences, new atmospheres, these are beautiful experiences. So my parents, they were excited. And we looked on the internet at 10 different apartments, and we flew over 2 months prior. We all flew. So waited until I got the final job offer. And then we drove everywhere. And I found one that I fell in love with. I loved that apartment. But the funny part was that when I moved, it wasn't what I expected, I have to tell you. So my parents, they drove with me and they helped me clean it up and get it ready. And we shopped for everything that we needed and they made sure I was comfortable before they left. And there was good people. Luckily, I have good social skills, so. But it's still important to start now. Encourage your students for social skills now, so they have that later in their life. A good resource for later. So I want to talk to you about my guide dog. I'm not going to say his name because he's under the table and he's going to jump up. He's being really good right now. So. Anyway, he does like to have attention. So I got my guide dog for the blind. And when you say, where do you get your guide dog? People always ask me that. So use your school. Your school will have policies. Have your schools help you get those. If you have special needs and you have a visual need, a guide dog is for the blind. I mean, there's one that I went to, Guide Dogs for the Blind in New York. But deaf-blind people, they need that too. So the qualifications vary from city to city. So they don't train additional trainings just for leadership dogs. So I had to get one on my own and look at all of the different perspectives and all of the different things that I needed. So it's very important to research and ask people. Ask about the different guide experiences and what's appropriate for your situation. So I just wanted to tell you one about the most amazing experiences in my life. People ask me, how did you do that? You never know. This again was an opportunity that I experienced. I participated in a class called Deaf-Blind Youth Adults in Action. And we went to Gallaudet for a week. We stayed at Gallaudet University for a week. We learned about the different laws and a good attitude and how that helps you in your future. And we went to Capitol Hill, we went to Senate and Congress, and we got to be part of changing laws and bills. And so at that time we were supposed to meet the advisor, the president's advisor. And he decided to refer us to the president. I'll never forget that happening. So we went into the Oval Office, and the first person I saw was the president standing right there in the door. And he shook my hand. And he said, what's your name? Where are you from? What do you do? What's your education? What's your major? And he said, congratulations. And all these people were behind me. But then he made an announcement, and he took the picture, and he said how proud he was of all of the people in America with disabilities. That was the most amazing experience. And I know recently he had added some adaptations to the ADA law, but you should go to the White House blog and look and do some research and learn about that. So just to let you know, after the slides, there's different organizations I wanted to show you on another slide. Different retreats, there's organizations related to your child's disability. Just take advantage of those. So look at all of these. All of these, I'm not going to cover every one and what they mean, but I just want you to be aware of all of these different. Go to Google, look up your child's situation and find anything, the support groups, find out about training, independent living, anything you can. There's so many resources out there. I mean, I don't know about everything that's available in Colorado, but look into it. This is nationwide. These are nationwide federations and such. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. There's so many resources out there. There's camps. I went to Camp Abilities, and that was a sports camp. That was for people that are deaf and blind and visually impaired, mental disabilities. There were 4 different parts to that camp. The list goes on. You can find something. I encourage you to look for everything you can. I know some of them are expensive, they cost money, but do it. They have scholarship. And I suggest that you look for a mentor for your child. I mean, I'm not talking about teachers or advisors. I mean a true mentor. An older person with the same disability that's gone through the same things. Find someone like me or a college student that's older than your child with the same disability. They've got experience and they would love to mentor your child. They can help kids have more connections out in the community with an older role model. That's so important. Mentorship is so important. Just imagine how much influence one person can have on so many different people. I had 15 different mentees all over the U.S., and I've traveled and met different people all over the United States. And they say, how can you do that? And they say, well, I want to try that. And some of them have grown up to be mentors, and they've said, thanks for your help, because now I'm helping other people. Most people stay home, play video games, and watch TV all day. How are they going to learn? How are they going to learn their life lessons that way? So, and social networking. So there's one good way to start, and I can talk more about that on the next slide, but independent living, independence. I know a lot of you parents are so afraid to let your child go. You want to still spoon feed them and take care of them, take care of their shopping and their laundry. But here's the question. If you parents get in an accident or something happens to you, who's going to take care of that child? Where is their training for life? They're used to you taking care of everything and coddling them. I tell kids all the time, you're 25 years old. You sit there and you play in the basement in your bedroom watching TV in their house. What are you going to do with the rest of your life? What if your parents die? And they've said, I don't know. Don't wait until you're gone. Don't wait until you're gone. I mean, do something now. Teach them to cook. Teach them to wash their clothes. Learn to access the community. I learned all these things when I was a teenager. I have my own house now. I live by myself. I pay my own bills. I do my own clothes, my laundry. I'm used to that because that was a life skill I was trained. So please start now. Start early as you can. Don't wait. It's so important. So in future planning, when I was in school, there was something called vision planning. And we took the parents and we took the schools, the kids in the situations, the teachers, and all of the different people that knew different situations, and we had discussions, and we planned for their futures, and we discussed about colleges, and what kind of training did they want, and what were their goals. And some kids can't make decisions, they need help. That's fine, you need to be there for them. But it's so important that you don't limit their options. Don't ever limit their options. Most people say, oh, he can go work at a hospital and folding laundry. Well, really, is that what he wants to do? Make him a part of deciding what he wants to do. I've got different clients, and I say, what are you going to do when you graduate from high school? They say, I'm going to design video games. I said, you can do better than that. Let me show you something. Let me show you some different options. So please make sure that they have all their options clear and the opportunities are available. I know a lot of teachers that say, you have to make decisions for them, but you can't. Teenagers, if you make them make the decision by themselves, my first dream job was a restaurant owner. That's what I wanted to do. Later on, then when I was in high school, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. Then when I went into college, and I had a class called Concepts of Business, and we talked about different majors, and I thought, IT or manager? No, I don't want to be a restaurant manager. I don't want to deal with the finances. I don't care about that. Then I thought, IT, I did some of that in high school. That's interesting. And that was something that was comfortable for me, so I went with that. So don't just stick with what the child's first plan is. I work at an IT administration, and I did research study in high school. And a lot of the times with research, your job, and that was in high school, I did research in high school. And, your high school could lead into your college and your future. If you're an accountant, some kind of business accounting, most likely you're going to become a real CPA. And also, leadership development with leadership and development, the importance of that is everyday activities. We need to be out there with people in leadership roles. I'm deafblind, you're hearing. You don't know how to talk to me, so I have to teach you that. You have to take the leadership role and teach people how to work with you. Once I talk to people, then it's fine. They understand how to communicate. Does that make sense? Most people, they say, oh, you have to do it my way. But no, it's not that way. We need to work as a team to communicate. Okay, so these are some social networking ideas. And I know a lot of parents are concerned about kids being on the internet and who you're talking with. And parents worry about that. That's fine. That's reasonable. But just understand, you can set some limits. But I know some parents that just decide you're never allowed to be on the internet. And maybe they'll give the choices of where they can go. But how are you going to develop relationships out there without all of the different social networking tools, with peers and opportunities? So these are just some, use AIM. There's so many different, there's Microsoft, there's MSN, there's Yahoo, Google. It's free. So your kids are going to move and go to camp or something. Don't worry about the communication. You can talk to them on IM. They can talk to relatives on IM. They can connect in the community. Email. It's free. It's free to find email anywhere, pretty much. So, and then for deaf people, these are just 3 options, but there's tons of different video options if you're deaf. If you've got a VP, I moved into a dorm. You can't get a VP in a dorm, so that wasn't a problem. You got a P3. You don't need the VP with the P3. If you have a webcam, you can talk on Skype or anything for free. So if you both had Skype, you can both talk face-to-face for free. There's so many options for you. So you can't say, I can't, or I can't talk to you. You can talk to your kids from far away, but they can also communicate out there. And then you've got Facebook and Twitter, and Facebook and Twitter. It's free. Please, though, just make sure that your house knows the risks, and safety on using Facebook. My job is in security, and I need to know that we're safe. And my job is to make this country safe. That's one of the things I do. So I know it's hard to teach your children. They say, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine." That's a challenge, I know. But the best person to tell them that is their peer mentor as opposed to a parent. They listen to somebody their own age or a peer. So that's my suggestion, make sure they have a peer mentor. So, also messaging. That's a wonderful way. Some parents say, you can't read that. My parents said, you can't see that, and it's expensive. And some of my kids, they say, you can't read that. So if you let kids go to camp and they're going to be gone, I mean, it's important to have that communication with them. And it'll benefit that person for their safety, so they don't feel alone. They have something away with them to communicate with the world. So research the internet, iPhone. There's an app that's free that modifies Braille support and voice reading. All of these apps are free. And I heard that the iPad, it's got that. I haven't used it myself yet, but I had a window app that it's got a company called Code Factory, and they put that on it. That's actually changed. It changes the text. It's action Zoom text. Do you guys know about Zoom text on the computer? It's the same concept. It's the same thing. It magnifies. And there's so many options out there. So let me back up a little bit. I have hearing aids. I had hearing aids for many years. And my audiologist said that you're not going to get a new one at one point. And I said, why? And they said, you've maxed out. You've maxed out the digital opportunity on hearing aids. And so your insurance isn't going to pay. But they said they will pay for a cochlear implant. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, how can that be? That's expensive. So I went ahead and researched it, and we asked around, looked, and we filled out an application. My dad said, are you sure you want something put into your head? And I said, well, I hate having hearing aids all the time. So anyway, I went through that process and got tested, and they put the cochlear implant in, and I really liked it, and it really improved and helped my speech. I can understand people better. So anyway, back to this. I just wanted to tell you that now I can talk to my parents on the phone. So my parents don't text. So I can understand my mom on the phone, not my father. So the cochlear implant was good, and after about a month, I said, now I told my mom I don't want to talk on the phone, I want to talk on text. And my mom said, you can't read it because it's too small. So I told my friend, help me. This was my mentor. I said, help me find this. And they found the Code Factory, and then we went to Verizon. My mom said, I'm not buying a $400 phone for you. It's not going to work. I said, Mom, and we put it all down, we uploaded everything. And so now I've had the phone for 4 years, and we communicate all the time. My mom text messages now too, so I got her on board. So 2 months ago, my dad, he got a new phone at work, an Android, and so now he's text messaging. So before that, my dad said, I hate texting that. Don't text me. And I said, Dad. So he changed. So there's a lot of opportunities out there, and things come up, and it works. So, okay, now I wanted to back up. There was one more. There was a couple of suggestions that I had for you. Do you have any questions? Is there 5 minutes left for questions?
2 minutes. And then 5.
Oh, 2 minutes. Okay, I've got 2 more minutes. Let me hurry up. So, with the last 2 bullets on this, the special interest group. Look for a special interest group related to your child's disability. If it's Usher syndrome, if you need a guide dog or anything, look at that. Look for those opportunities for special interest. You can learn something from other parents too. And also, listserv, emails. Get on every listserv that you can. National Association for Blind, National Association for the Deaf. They've all got their own emails that say deafblind in America, deafblind independence, deafblind travel, deafblind cochlear. I mean, there's so many opportunities out there. Sign up for every listserv. If you're interested in getting a cochlear implant and you're not sure how it's going to work for your child, sign up for the listserv. Get all of the information that you need to be prepared. I did that myself. And I've seen some negative stories on some of the listservs, but my story's different. So it's good, though, to get every opportunity, every chance to learn. Okay. So now I wanted to leave open for any questions that you have in the audience. So, can you, so we have questions from the audience? Are you going to video me? I think they were going to put me on the video now. Together. There we go. So do you have any questions then?
I might have missed it, but in what forum did you learn the academics, the reading, the writing, the math, those kinds of skills?
Okay, so when I was in elementary school, I learned math and write, and we wrote big. We wrote in large print. So I would have like 4 lines on one paper, and with black markers, real thick black ink. And then I worked one-on-one, and then I still do the same thing. I mean, I use large print. But in grade 1, I did Braille. I learned Braille, so I didn't do math on Braille, but I visually could see some, and we had different ideas on how to use graphs and charts, and so they accommodated, and there was a lot of different ways we had to be creative. We used a lot of different approaches. And I can give you some ideas specifically if you want. But. Any other questions?
I was wondering if you could elaborate on your opinion. You were saying how important it was for social networking, and if you could elaborate on that.
Sure. So on Facebook, for instance, I can find 200 different kinds of groups just on Facebook alone. Deafblind, Usher syndrome, chart, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. You can join these and see what's going on, all the topics and conversations. People post on there and say, did you hear about this? You could become a lawyer doing this program, and there's articles, and there's free camp, there's camps, and everything. All of this information on Facebook alone is huge. Just 2 days ago, somebody sent me a message saying, American Association for the Deafblind are making their resources available. And I've been waiting since November to learn some more information about that. So they made it available to me. And then there's other social groups. There's so many things if you want to learn more about Usher syndrome. So you can learn about all of the different things going on with Usher syndrome. So you learn how people handle situations, and how do you play sports, and learn how people play sports. I've learned and met people internationally. And I've learned about their culture. I've met and learned about people in Europe and about their disability programs, because I'm curious outside of America what happens. And when you just type in the word deaf-blind, and they research in Europe, DAF blind, and dash dot whatever, and it explains the definition better than I can. I mean, we can tell about the medical and whatever, but in Europe they explained it even more in depth. So it's neat to network with other countries. And sometimes I go to a conference like Little Rock, Arkansas. I went to Little Rock, Arkansas. Is anybody here from Little Rock? I don't know if anybody met me there, but I just want to make sure I'm not alone. Yeah. So, anyway, any other questions?
In school, what did you do when you were not focused?
Can you give me more? Can you give me an example? Can you give me a hint of more about you?
Well, sometimes when I get off focus, I try to remind myself that I have to do this. It's just pretty difficult for me sometimes, so I just wanted to know what you did when you weren't focused in school.
Okay, that's a very good question. It depends on the topic, obviously. Like, I did a political class, and that was so boring. I tried to pay attention. I tried. So my suggestion is bring maybe a small toy or something, you know, something you can hide in your bag or something, or a video with you or something, and kind of help you stay on task. I wrote with pens and stuff. I know you're not supposed to, I shouldn't be teaching this in this conference. Sometimes, it is hard sometimes. But the best way is just to try to think positive, try to make the class interesting. Just try to make it interesting. I know sometimes it's hard depending on different teaching styles. Sometimes it is boring. I mean, that's common with a lot of people in classes, but try quiet joy, don't do one that's loud. So we don't want to interfere with the other two learners. So, and I know it's sometimes, you know, if you've got something you're thinking about, write it down, you can take care of it after class and try and pay attention to it. Does that help? Okay. So she has to run, you need a motor.
Have you received any resistance out in the community or in your travels where there has not been an acceptance of your guide dog with you? And if so, how did you handle it?
Well, I don't think I've experienced that myself. I know most people in my world support me. People, they work with disabled students at the different places in the government. I mean, they gave money. So I mean, everybody that I'm pretty much exposed to is pretty open. I think there was only one situation is with my dog is, like, I went into Walmart. And so I'm walking into the store, and this old woman was paying, and she said, "Hey, why is that dog in the store?" And I couldn't hear her. My parents were with me. And my dad said, "Oh, she's saying," and my dad said, "It's a seeing eye dog." And she goes, "Oh, okay." But that was the only experience. I hear other people say worse stories. I mean, I do hear really bad stories about that, but nothing's happened to me so far. It's interesting because when I fly on a plane, sometimes people say, "Oh, that's so cute, he's so cute. He can sit with me," and I just say, "He's just my dog, just leave him alone." Oh, there was one other opportunity I forgot. I went to Ireland. And I went for a class, and people said, "How do you do that? It's expensive to hire an interpreter, and how did you get there, and how did you get the accommodation?" It's kind of a silly question, because I had a university, and they were the ones who hired a staff interpreter, and we discussed everything and made the journey together. And the international department, they said, "The airline won't provide a seat in the front row because of emergency exit." And I said, "Well, you need to ask, it needs to happen." He said, "No, you have to pay for that." And I said, "Oh, so I thought I had to pay for that?" So I said, "Fine." So I went and looked up the law, and no, I don't have to pay for that. So they helped me and I went to So the other important part is just to know who to network with. Know who's in your network, and they can find the resources with you. I know some people that are lawyers and teachers and all different walks of life, and they've helped me with the different tools that I needed. Oh, and also, make sure that you have a good toolbox. Fill up your toolbox now, as much as you can. So, is that any others?
Hi, I was wondering when you meet new people and if they don't know sign language, what tips would you have so they can communicate with you?
That's a good question. I have a cochlear implant now, so I can do one-on-one conversations. But people do approach me sometimes, and I'm not used to their speech, but it just depends on the environment, the acoustics. I remember one time, my friend and I went into a restaurant, into a bar. It was very loud, lots of music going on. Couldn't see what people were saying. And there was no paper to write on. We were sitting on a table. So I got my cell phone out and I texted, and we did text it in the large print. That worked. So you can be creative. There's things. I'm researching to the iPad right now. I can carry that around with me because it's got Braille support. And you can type in on the iPad and get Braille. Or there was a DBC, deafblind communication device. There's a connection that has Braille. So, I mean, there's so many options, so many body language. I mean, I read body language, lots of different ways. Imagine yourself speaking a foreign language. How do you handle that situation? Any others?
You kind of already answered this question. I think with your cochlear implant, you don't need an interpreter at all times. Is that correct?
I tend to use interpreters for training, for large audiences, because I don't talk real loud myself. But my voice is kind of quiet and it's maybe a little muffled and you probably can't understand.
So my question, sorry. My question was regarding like your adaptive equipment for work. Obviously, you need a larger computer and larger things, and maybe an interpreter at work. Do they provide that?
Well, I provide, if I'm one-on-one with you, no, I don't need that. My boss and I communicate one-on-one with each other, but anytime I've got classroom training or group meetings, then yes, I tend to use it.
So who provides your assistive technology and stuff at work? Does the company provide that for you?
Yeah, my business, we have 5 staff interpreters for me, and we have 5 deaf people there, so my office provides that. We just go on the internet, we schedule it. The other thing I want to encourage you, good opportunity is, with the government, hire more disabled people if you're a business. Be sure and hire people with disabilities. Research the different organizations that can help with the disabled, with the disability that you're working with. So, there's tons of recommendations out there. So, I don't know if you're curious about my travel to Ireland. We have 5 minutes left, but it was interesting. It was a pain in the butt to prep for, though, but it was so worth it. So, if you know you're going to go overseas, make sure you research that culture and their respect. What's respectful in their culture and the cultural differences. In Europe, for instance, they really respect disabilities, not physical disabilities. They're not accessible physically wise. So the buildings, the architecture is very old. But I researched about their animal policies for 6 months. 6 months before I left. So I had to make sure I knew everything 6 months before I got everything approved and set up. You could sit on the plane with me for an 8-hour flight. That was nice. Then when we go through customs and everything, there was no problem with the paperwork. And my dad said, let me see your paperwork. And he went through everything. He said, the gentleman at the gate said, you're good to go. And I said, that's it? I said, you did everything. And they respected the guard dog coming into Ireland, so going through customs was a breeze. So when we pulled up, we arrived on a bus. We went all the way from the airport to Ireland on a bus. And they knew we were coming. They knew to expect my dog. So they came down and they helped me. And they said, please enjoy your trip. And I was like, wow. I'd never seen a driver come down. He said, you can sit on the seat on the bus. And I said, really? So then when we went to the different youth hospitals and hotels, some of the places were in a bad area. There was no grass. There was nothing but concrete. They said, whatever you want, whatever you need. And so they said, go do it on the street, whatever you need. So that was interesting. But I went to visit the University of Dublin, and I met their disability advisor, and he was really motivated to learn about me, and he asked questions. And it was really, they were very organized, they were developed. It was wonderful. I didn't have to ask him any questions because he had everything ready for me. And he said, if you move here, we will make sure that your place is comfortable for you and your dog. Because, well, if it's a bad neighborhood or area, we'll find a better place. I've never seen American people that were that careful about my dog. And been in another country, so that was interesting to learn that about that culture. So, anyway, in America we have interesting laws and such. It's different from Ireland. In America sometimes they don't care, but in Ireland they really care about that. People say, oh, your dog is so cute every time I go into a restaurant. American people are crazy. So I say, this is like my kid. Just let him work, you know? In Ireland, people don't even think twice about it, because they notice it. I mean, they don't even notice it. It's just funny. So when I stayed in a hospital, they let him sleep in the bed with me. So that's a big difference than it is in America. So is there one more question?
There's so much technology out there, and we can only get started maybe with one or two things. So where would you have someone get started on a certain platform that might be most accessible or something along that line?
So we have an IT lab here, I think. That's a good place to start. Downstairs there's an IT lab. But I've gone to different conferences and I've seen different IT information everywhere. I guess my suggestion would be to see a demonstration isn't enough. Ask someone that owns it and play with it and experience it before you go purchase. For example, this TV, I have to say I don't like it. There's too much shine on it, the lighting is too hard, so if you're looking for a TV, try a CCTV or a different type of TV. The functions are different. The quality is different. Some have more colors, some have brighter brightness, sharpness. You know, some can show the lights better. Some of them really give me a headache, and it's hard for me to view. Some of the old ones, you know, with the white, the old computers, I hated this. She said it's free to use it, and I said it gives me a headache. I can't visually see it. So I needed a new one with less glare. Buying a can of soup or a box, it's just like reading the ingredients on the back. It's the same thing. You just need to be prepared for each time. So find the best way to investigate and ask and play with it. And if you're not satisfied, get someone else. So, does that answer the question? So, do you want to switch back to the slide one more time? I just wanted you to feel free to email me. You can see my email address, my website. And just to let you know, my website is not up to date. I'm still working on updating. So, but it's got some interesting basic information. But thank you so much for your welcome invitation to come.